Matthew Berry about to join us. And in advance of that, let's take Tanner in Iowa's phone call. What's up, Tanner?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's going on? How can we help, Tanner?
What up, man?
So I just did over the weekend a 18-man league, and I had the second pick, so I got Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
And then later on, I was going to get Caleb Johnson from Iowa, but he was picked right before me. So the best available running back was Tyrone Tracy. So I was just curious what your opinion is on Tracy, and if I potentially should look for another running back.
Well,
And I also, since you're a Michigan man, I drafted Colson Loveland.
Okay.
So I was just wondering what your opinion of his outlook on the season.
Okay.
And before you answer, I also wanted to agree with your shrug with the Vikings. I have a feeling that McCarthy is going to have a really good year.
Hooked on a Thielen. I will answer your questions, but I've got Matthew Berry right here. Matthew, you want to pop in a little early here? You there, Matthew?
Sure.
Did you hear what Tanner in Iowa's conundrum is? Or
I
question?
did. He's got a lot going on. So let's start backwards here. Coming to you live, by the way, from an NBC dressing room.
Ladies and gentlemen, not creepy at all. Not creepy at all.
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. Really good lighting. Obviously, not a lot of decoration. It's not my specific dressing room at the moment. At any rate, so let's start backwards here. I think Colson Loveland has a great year. I really do. I mean, listen, the easy comparisons where Ben Johnson, it says, reminds him of Sam Laporta. We all know what Sam Laporta did his rookie year. Now, there's a lot more target competition for Loveland, obviously. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. You still got Cole Kmet there. But I do think that no team in the NFL improved their offensive line this offseason more than the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
I think Caleb Williams, when you give him time to throw, I think expect a big leap from him this year. Caleb Williams on my love list. So I like Colson Loveland as a top 12-ish tight end this year. I think the guy in front of you in your draft did you a favor by taking Caleb Johnson. I think ultimately Caleb Johnson is going to be really good, and this will be his backfield, but it seems like it's a little bit of a slow start. Arthur Smith likes to use multiple running backs. They've been using Kenneth Gainwell a lot in the preseason with the ones. Obviously, Jaylen Warren has his role there. So I actually think you dodge a little bit of a bullet there with Caleb Johnson, who I think is going to be very good in this league, but I think not till the second half of the year. Remember, the year that Arthur Smith drafted Bijan Robinson with a top 5 overall pick, Tyler Algier still got over 1,000 yards. And Cordero Patterson still got 5 touches a game. And he used Bijan Robinson, one of the elite prospects of the last 20 years. Anyway, so Arthur Smith likes to use multiple running backs. I think he dodged a bullet there with Caleb Johnson. I have very few shares of him. The answer about Tyrone Tracy is I think he did well with Tyrone Tracy. I'd rather have Tracy in a vacuum than him. Again, we'll see. And eventually Cam Scatterbo will get up to speed as well. But, he was a guy that was, used a lot of power in the college game. And, it's different in the pros. Tyrone Tracy is an elite runner, a lot of speed, very good at the backfield. He's been the starter. He's somebody who last year had games where he was getting 17, 18, 20 touches a game, proved he could be an every down back. I think it will be a committee, but I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be on the right side of that. And it'll be a while before Scatterbo gets up to speed. And so I think I'm bullish on the Giants offense. Do I think it's going to be great, Rich? No. But do I think it's going to be competent? For sure. Whatever you think of Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart, they're a mile better than Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito from last year. Malik Neighbors is a legit superstar. Theo Johnson, I think, is a nice sleeper at tight end. And so I think they'll be in scoring position more often. I think Tyrone Tracy is a very solid, RB3 flex play, or an RB2 if you're in a deeper league and you went early at, some of the other positions.
For the radio audience that just joined us, Matthew Berry giving Tanner in Iowa, whose call we took during the Roku only segment, the fantasy answers that he asked for. Tanner, did we hook you up? Did we hook you up there?
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I definitely did. And I just wanted to say before I go how much I love listening to the Rich Eisen Show.
Thank you, sir.
And during the off season, going up to the draft, my favorite guy to listen to has always been Matthew Berry. So it was really nice to hear his opinion and your opinion too.
Tanner in Iowa, not only smart but likes handsome, smart, bald men as well. Good to have Tanner in Iowa here on the Rich Eisen Show, and Matthew Berry, the creator of FantasyLife.com and the Fantasy Football Happy Hour that can be seen live on YouTube at noon every day and then on Peacock at 5 p.m. Eastern every day here on the Rich Eisen Show. It is great to see you, Matthew Berry. Just real quick, just starting off a macro here. When do you choose a quarterback? When do you do it?
Obviously, it depends on your league settings. You're doing it earlier if you're in a super flex league versus a one quarterback league.
Right.
I think third or fourth round this year, if one of four players is available.
Okay.
I want one of the elite guys. I want whether Lamar or Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts. Those four guys. If I don't get one of those four guys, like I'm in on either. Basically, Rich, this year I want to be one of the first guys in my league to draft a quarterback, one of those four guys, or I want to be one of the last guys in my league to draft a quarterback. Again, this is assuming you're in a one quarterback league, not a 2 QB or super flex league. I love, those guys in the middle ranges, I love Joe Burrow, proud fantasy life investor, Joe Burrow.
Nice.
I do think he has a big year, but I just think those pocket passers that don't get yards with their legs as well as their arms, there's just a lot of them. And so I just think the value that you can get later in drafts. I mentioned Caleb Williams in the last segment there about how bullish I am on him. I think Justin Fields has a big year fantasy wise this year. So I think there are guys you can get I think Dak Prescott has a monster year this year. Again, as you talk about pocket passers going outside the top 10, I'm big on Trevor Lawrence. I think the Jaguars offense is going to be really, as a late round flyer. Sure. Him and Drake May. I think those are guys that are really interesting late. So basically, I want to be one of the first guys in my league to get a quarterback or one of the last, because I don't think there's a huge differentiation once you get past the top four from between 5 and quarterback 11.
You think you could win a championship with Caleb, Drake May, Dak Prescott? Because that's whenever I hold, Braveheart style, and I start screaming in my head, got to take somebody quarterback early, because I don't want to be struggling in my fantasy league week 9, week 10 with those, 14, 15, 16 point efforts, and somebody else is going all bonanza on me with their quarterback. I start thinking to myself, can I hold 9th, 10th round for one of those guys? Do you think you can win a championship with some of those folks that you mentioned, Matthew?
Obviously, some of the argument there is that by waiting on a quarterback, you're winning positions at other spots, right? So that you have an advantage on a weekly basis at running back, at tight end, at wide receiver, because you have waited on quarterback, Rich. That's part of the calculation and waiting on a quarterback there. And that, do we think Dak Prescott's going to be better than Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? We don't. But this is a guy that was a top 5 fantasy quarterback 2 years ago. This is somebody they're going to throw. I don't think they're going to be able to run, right? And I think, and I heard you guys before I came on, you're talking about Micah. That defense is going to be worse this year regardless, but especially if Micah holds out. So they're not going to be able to run, and they're not going to play nearly as elite defense. And so they're going to have to throw a ton. The addition of George Pickens, who is as good a, jump ball, 50-50 ball wide receiver in the NFL, and obviously runs a ton of deep routes. Dak Prescott, one of the best, most accurate deep ball throwers in the NFL. So, yes on Dak. I think Dak has a big fantasy year if he can stay healthy. You mentioned Caleb Williams. Look, I think there's a reason why Caleb Williams was drafted as high as he was, and part of why Ben Johnson was brought in was I hate to fix Ben Johnson. I did this. I wrote a column on NBCSports.com, rotoworld.com called "My 100 Facts You Need to Know Before You Draft."
Yes, sir.
And one of the facts that I gave is that last year, when he was not pressured, Caleb Williams had the 3rd best touchdown interception rate in the NFL among qualified quarterbacks. In essence, basically, when you gave Caleb Williams time to throw, he was actually pretty good. And we know how good he is off schedule when he has to create something. The issue with Caleb Williams is he held the ball too long. The offense was a mess last year. We get all that. But you think about what Ben Johnson, did with Jared Goff in Detroit. Built up the offensive line, gave him time to throw in rhythm. And obviously Caleb is a very different quarterback than Jared Goff, but like I said, I don't think a team improved their offensive line more than the Bears this offseason. Caleb very quietly gives you rushing production, averaged over 30 rushing yards a game last year. And so, I'm in on Caleb Williams this year as a fantasy force. I think they've got a lot of weapons. They're going to give him time. They're another team that I don't think is going to be able to run that effectively. So, and I'm a believer in Ben Johnson's offense.
And I'm going to go a little granular here, Matthew, because in the drafts that I've already been part of and the mock drafts that I'm actually spending a few minutes doing, you see the same grouping of players right around the same area of a draft, and it just seems like Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne show up right there, and it's like a coin flip. Like the algorithm's telling you your choice, and I see that, and I think to myself, Liam Cohen's a guy that had Bucky Irving in his midst last year, so somebody is potentially going to be anointed in a significant fantasy way. Do you have an opinion on this, Matthew?
I do. So I prefer Etienne to Bigsby, but I agree with you. Like, it's a little bit of a coin flip. Like, we don't know. Bigsby was running with the ones in practice, then Etienne gets the run with the ones in the in the preseason games. We like Bashal Tutin as well, the rookie there who showed a lot of explosiveness in college. So somebody from the Jaguars is going to emerge as an elite fantasy option. And so I want one piece of that backfield. So I've been taking Etienne, or sometimes I have Tutin. I don't have a lot of Bigsby this year. But I do think that somebody in that backfield is going to be fantasy productive. And I'm with you, Rich, on the overall premise here is that this is going to be a very fantasy-friendly offense. I think the defense is going to be bad. Liam Cohen last year, you think about what he did with Baker Mayfield, how good that offense was in terms of fantasy points that they produced across the board. Brian Thomas Jr., we know, is a superstar. I think Travis Hunter has a monster year. I think he has a monster year. As deep sleepers, I like Brenton Strange, their tight end. I like Parker Washington in deep leagues and deep PPR leagues. And like I said, Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a very good fantasy year. Again, that's a guy that gets you 20 to 30 rushing yards. You don't really believe it. He's going as like QB 18. And I think he's got top 12-ish potential this year because he's been throwing so much.
Matthew Berry here on the Rich Eisen Show again, fantasylife.com, Fantasy Football Happy Hour on Peacock and YouTube, and so much more here on the Rich Eisen Show. The rookie I've got to get. Who's the rookie I got to get? I know you just mentioned Hunter, I guess. Is he that guy? And if not him, who?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we love love Travis Hunter. I mean, my ride or die this year is Omarion Hampton, the running back for the Chargers, right? He is my ride or die. When I announced him as my ride or die, he was barely going around in the top 50. I'm as a top 30 overall player. I'm as a top 13 running back. I think he's a borderline RB1. We know Harbaugh likes to run the ball, but he also likes to run when he gets in close. Last year, Chargers top 5 in the NFL in terms of most rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line. Najee Harris just activated. I guess we'll see what we get out of Najee, but he's on a 1-year prove-it deal versus Hampton, who has used, they used first-round draft capital on Hampton, who is he's already pro-ready in terms of pass protection. He's a great pass catcher. If you listen to any of the post-draft press conferences from the Chargers coaching staff and general managers, they talk about what a complete running back he is. So I think you'll see them use Hampton in the passing game a lot more than Greg Roman offenses have previously.
And the prevailing wisdom that appears to be getting stronger and stronger with every draft that I'm in right now, Matthew, is that Tyler Warren's this year's Brock Bowers. Yes? Yeah. No? What do you got?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look,
okay.
Brock Bowers had a magical year last year, so that's a really high bar to say Tyler Warren should get to that level. But yes. I am as tight end 9. The last 3 rookie tight ends that were drafted inside the top 15, that were drafted inside the first round, all saw at least 90 targets their first year. And you think about this Colts offense with Daniel Jones now under center. Like, he doesn't have a big arm. It's kind of a noodle arm. He's going to be a dink and dunker. And so Tyler Warren, just in the middle of the field, is just going to get a ton of targets. He's a great blocker. He's not coming off the field. He's going to play every snap. I mean, you just sort of look at the utilization. This is if you go to fantasylife.com, we have a thing called the utilization report, where we have a guy, Dwayne McFarland, who's unbelievable, watches every single snap of every single game and shows you about the utilization. And so his route participation, his snaps that he played, it's all available for free on fantasylife.com. Just tells you that this guy is never coming off the field. He's also, Rich, really athletic. And so because they're going with Jones and not Richardson, don't be surprised if Tyler Warren gets a handful of tush-push type touchdowns when the Colts get in close.
Okay.
Wow.
Now that's a breadcrumb. That's a loaf.
Breaking.
Really?
Yeah. He's going to have, I think Tyler Warren has a monster year.
So Tyler Warren vulturing Jonathan Taylor is in the ether right now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine?
Dang.
Something like that happens. All right. My word.
Okay.
Rookie wide receiver. Where are you? In Tet McMillan or any of the second rounders, third rounders. Matthew Golden is somebody that gets thrown around because the Packers, man, like, not to mix sports. Remember the Tampa Bay Rays of the Evan Longoria years? Like, there was Longoria, you knew to play him, but everyone else is just like, why would I have a Tampa Bay Ray in my fantasy rotisserie, if you will, lineup? Because you never know. The Packers wide receivers, you have no earthly idea whose week it could be, right? But
yeah, it's a little bit. Although I do think Jordan Love being healthy this year is a help, and the fact that they use a first round pick on Golden, because some of their guys are, obviously Christian Watson, but like Jaden Reed's already banged up as well, and so I do think Golden is a special player. I like him a lot. We've talked about Travis Hunter. I think T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan in Carolina is kind of a big year as well. But if you want a rookie wide receiver that you didn't mention,
yes, sir,
Emeka Egbuka in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
One of if not the most pro-ready wide receiver to come out, unbelievable player. And then you think about, this is a team under Liam Cohen last year, but it's the same offensive coaching philosophy, same basic playbook here. They were like top 3 in the NFL in wide receiver fantasy points last year, right? And so we know Chris Godwin is going to miss at least a handful of games. Jalen McMillan's going to miss most of at least half the season, if not more. And so Emeka Egbuka, there's a scenario where he's the number 1 wide receiver for Baker Mayfield, because, we love Mike Evans here, and I think he's a value this year in drafts, but Mike Evans missed a month last year with hamstring injuries. Hamstrings are something that seem to come up with Evans a decent amount. Like, there's a scenario where there'll be some points this year where Egbuka is the number 1 wide receiver for Baker, but right now he's the number 2. And I think that's quietly one of the best offenses in football. It doesn't get talked about as an elite offense, but it truly is in Tampa.
And closer to home for you, the Washington running back room. What do we do here?
Yeah.
What do we do here?
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill. Obviously, the buzziest name out there. I got to give a shout out to Connor Rogers. Connor Rogers is my co-host on Fantasy Football Happy Hour, which we do. It's also available as a podcast, but we do it, as you mentioned, live at noon on YouTube every day, and it's available on demand there, and Peacock at 5 o'clock, and on demand on Peacock. So Connor Rogers is a draft expert, grinds the tape like nobody's business. And at the NFL draft, like we were doing our recap of the NFL draft, Connor mentioned the fact that in the pre-draft process, he was ranking all the players before they got drafted, the NFL players, and you can look this up on NBCSports.com. He had Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ranked higher than R.J. Harvey. And so when the Commanders got him in the 7th round, he was like, man, oh man, did Washington just get a steal? And everyone's like, who the hell is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? And so I got to give a shout out to my guy, Connor Rogers, who basically was like, it was a weird eligibility issue, which is why he didn't play his last year in college, basically. But like, if people had seen this kid play, they would have seen the intangibles that obviously Adam Peters identified. And so, look, Austin Eckler is still there, and I think you'll see a little bit of Chris Rodriguez, but I think he's a borderline top 30 running back on what should be one of the better offenses in the NFL.
All right, what have I not asked you about? I'll give you the floor, brother, before I let you go on your day.
Well, you haven't asked me sort of at the if you want to talk about the top of the draft, you want to talk about some late round sleepers.
How about both?
I mean, ask me anything. I've been talking about this stuff for 3 months straight. So there's literally no question you can ask me.
I know that, but I don't want to keep on asking you something that's why I want to give you the floor. You know what I mean? Like, it's your fantasy world. We're just rent paying right now, Matthew. So go for it.
I'll say this. We're talking about sort of, my ride or die, right? I do my ride or die every single year.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the guys that was that was the finalist for my ride or die, Omarion Hampton, of course, ended up doing it, was Nico Collins. Over the past 2 seasons, Nico Collins is 3rd in fantasy points per target. And so Nico Collins is somebody he made my love list. I have him at wide receiver 5. Mm-hmm. So I'm significantly higher Nico Collins than sort of consensus out here. Same sort of argument. I don't think the Texans are going to be able to run the ball. I don't think they want to run the ball. It's one of the reasons they made the change at the offensive coordinator position, is because they actually ran too much last year and they weren't super effective at it. And so I think they're going to be more pass happy. I think Stroud will be better this year as well. And so no Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs. They got the 2 rookies and they added Christian Kirk. But really, Nico Collins is the alpha. And my argument on Nico Collins is that He is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, just on pure talent. He's an alpha wide receiver one, the same way that CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase are. I'm not saying he's as good as Jamar Chase, but like he's right there with like Malik Neighbors as well. But he's not talked about in the same breath as some of those guys, as some of those elite guys. And he really is. And so just he's dealt with injuries the last 2 years, but the Texans scheme ways to get him the ball. And so I think Nico Collins, within the range of outcomes, at the end of this year, we're talking about number one wide receiver in fantasy, Nico Collins. That is within the range of outcomes if he can stay healthy, because he is that kind of guy.
And then top of the draft, it is Jamar Chase, 100%?
I have Chase at 1. I have Bijan up there,
Okay.
Justin Jefferson as well. I know there are people that are concerned about J.J. McCarthy. And my argument here, Rich, very simply, is 2 words. Nick Mullins. Justin Jefferson had 4 games with Nick Mullins as the starting quarterback and averaged over 22 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
When you can produce with Nick Mullins, you can produce with anyone. All due respect to Mr. Mullins. I'm just saying, like, J.J. McCarthy is going to be just fine. I know you're a Michigan guy, Rich, so I know you're Team McCarthy here.
Sir.
But
yes,
like it's outrageous that people are like, once again, every year they sleep on. They're like Justin Jefferson, bad quarterback. We had the same argument last year where people thought I was crazy for having Jefferson as a top 4 overall player, and they're like, Sam Darnold, what are you going to do with? I'm like, he produced with Nick Mullins, and of course Sam Darnold was great, and Jefferson had another monster year. Like, he's Justin Jefferson. People are overthinking this.
probably so. And then guillotine leagues are everywhere right now. We're in Vinny Pasquantino's right now, Matthew.
Yeah, 100%. So guillotineleagues.com. It's a brand that I bought. Go check it out. It's the most fun way to. It's a weekly elimination format, and I absolutely love it. We think we have the best version of it. Guillotineleagues.com. Very simply, you have a league, you draft a team like normal. End of the week, the team with the lowest score, you start your lineup right like normal. End of the week, the team with the lowest score in the league gets cut, killed. Their season's over. They're done. And then you keep repeating that until only one team remains. So it is a sweat like you've never had before because, one guy disappoints, you got another guy on bye, somebody leaves the game early with injury, and you're sitting there going into Monday Night Football going like, if Josh Jacobs doesn't score a touchdown tonight, I'm dead. And so it is the most intense sweat. And here's the other twist, Rich.
Yes, sir.
That I'll tell you about, which is that when that team gets cut and eliminated, all the players on that team go into the free agent pool. So now, every team has a first-round pick. They have a second-round pick. They have a star quarterback. So it's like week 6, and Saquon Barkley and CeeDee Lamb are on the waiver wire. Like, it gets crazy.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
It's amazing. And you have $1,000 of fab budget of fake money to bid throughout the year. And as the teams get smaller, again, you can start with however many you start. And then when you'll get down to like a 5-team league, a 4-team league at one point. And so everyone's got these superstar teams, and it becomes really crazy because you're sitting there like, oh, should I pick up Mahomes off the waiver wire or roll with Josh Allen?
Isn't that crazy? That's awesome, Matthew. What a great, fun way to go about your fantasy year. It
is so fun. The Rich Eisen Show, you guys should do a league. I saw TJ this summer at the, and I was telling TJ about it.
Fanatics Fest.
Fanatics Fest. I was talking with TJ and O'Shea, right? And you guys were like, I want in. So
fun.
You guys should do this. I'll do it. If the Rich Eisen Show does a guillotine league, I will join the league.
Okay. But now we've got to.
Now we have to wrap this up.
That's a new post-show meeting.
Wow. A 6th fantasy league.
Matthew, thanks for
the one thing I'll say here, Rich, before you go.
Yes.
Is the best thing about guillotineleagues.com is that you don't have to start at the season. As long as you have one more team in the league than weeks left in the season,
that's right.
You can have a draft whenever you want. With 5 weeks left in the season, you can do a 6-team draft, right?
That's
you just need one more team than weeks left in the season. So we can start it in week 3 or whatever.
Okay. We'll have a post-show meeting. We'll figure it out, and we'll reach out to you. FantasyLife.com, Fantasy Football Happy Hour on Peacock and YouTube. Matthew, give Jack Collinsworth his dressing room back. This is getting awkward.
I will. He's standing outside awkwardly.
Yeah, in his skivvies, it's really awkward. Thanks for the time, Matthew.
All right, man.
Well.
Appreciate you guys as always.
That's right here. Great fun stuff right there with one of the best. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.